I never imagined that a mailbox could become the centerpiece of a battle I'd never forget. But by the time Cassie Turner arrived in my building, chaos had quietly started, and I didn't even realize it at first. My name is Priya Kapoor, and I've owned a small 3-story apartment building in Chicago for nearly 7 years. I take pride in being a fair and approachable landlord. I know my tenants personally, handle repairs promptly, and always try to maintain a friendly, respectful environment. Then came Cassie Turner, my newest tenant. On paper, she seemed perfect. Steady job in marketing, clean rental history, polite, outgoing, and cheerful. I remember meeting her in the lobby. She smiled brightly, shook my hand firmly, and even complimented the newly planted flowers outside the building. Everything screamed ideal tenant. It didn't take long for the red flags to appear. A week after she moved in, I got a call from Mr. Lewis in 2B. "Priya, I think someone's taken my Amazon package. It was here yesterday, and now it's gone." I assumed it was a delivery mistake. Packages get misdelivered all the time. But when 2 more neighbors reported missing mail within the same week, my stomach sank. Then came the trash complaints. Residents noticed bags left in the hallway or dumped outside their doors. It seemed minor at first, but the pattern was starting to form. I decided to address it politely. I texted Cassie. "Hi, Cassie. A few neighbors mentioned missing packages and trash left in the hallways. Can you make sure this doesn't happen again?" Her response was dismissive. "Oh, weird. I didn't touch anyone's packages. Must be a mistake, right?" She was playing it off casually, even confidently, and I could sense she was testing boundaries. I made a mental note to document everything. After all, good landlords know the first step in dealing with tricky tenants is meticulous evidence collection. Over the next few days, reports kept coming in. I began to notice patterns. Packages would disappear only when Cassie was entering or leaving the building. Trash left in hallways or by the mailroom often coincided with her comings and goings. I started keeping a log, timestamps, complaints, and small notes about each incident. One morning, I personally caught Cassie rifling through a neighbor's mailbox, trying to hide a small package in her tote bag. That moment hit me like a lightning bolt. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. I had 2 choices. Call the police immediately, which might escalate unnecessarily, or get creative and plan a clever legal revenge. I decided on the second route. I started brainstorming ways to protect my neighbor's property, collect indisputable evidence, teach Cassie a lesson without breaking any laws. Little did I know, the solution would involve something as simple as a mailbox. But with a twist so satisfying, it would leave her scrambling and the neighbors laughing. I realized quickly that Cassie wasn't just careless or mischievous. She was bold, deliberate, and testing every boundary. If I wanted justice, I had to be smarter, faster, and more creative than she ever expected. I started with something simple but essential: discreet, legal security cameras around the mailroom and the entryway. I made sure they only captured common areas, no one's apartment interior, to stay compliant with privacy laws. Within hours, the cameras caught her in the act, rifling through a neighbor's mailbox, hiding a small package in her tote, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. Watching the footage made my blood boil, but also it was satisfying. Finally, concrete, undeniable evidence. Next, I quietly approached the neighbors who had reported missing packages. I asked them to write brief statements about what they had noticed. "Mr. Lewis, my Amazon box disappeared 3 times this week. I saw Cassie leaving with something tucked under her arm once. Mrs. Nguyen. I noticed trash being dumped near my door late at night, usually when Cassie was returning from work. Mr. Thompson. I heard rustling at the mailboxes around 11 p.m. One night I saw her walking away with a package. These statements became a pattern of corroborated evidence, making it impossible for Cassie to deny responsibility. I decided to address her directly, but calmly. I texted, Cassie, multiple tenants have reported missing packages and trash in the hallways. I have CCTV footage confirming some of these incidents. Can we resolve this? Her response, oh wow, that's strange. I didn't touch anyone's packages. Maybe they were misdelivered. Classic deflection. She was confident, almost mocking, believing she could talk her way out of consequences. I wanted something. Firstly, legal. I couldn't break the law or risk liability. Secondly, funny, so neighbors could enjoy the payoff. And thirdly, psychologically satisfying, so Cassie would experience immediate consequences. After a night of thinking, I had it. A modified mailbox system. Every time the mailbox was opened, anything inside, stolen packages or trash, would fall into a visible bin marked clearly for misplaced mail trash. Practical? Check. Legal? Check. Publicly satisfying? Check. I arranged for building maintenance to install the new mailbox setup, making it seamless and unnoticeable at first. I didn't tell Cassie or anyone else yet. Meanwhile, I let the security cameras continue running, capturing her every approach. I had waited patiently, gathered evidence, and set the trap. I knew Cassie wouldn't suspect a thing. And yet, when it finally happened, I didn't expect how utterly satisfying and ridiculous it would be. It was a quiet Thursday morning. Most tenants were at work, and the building lobby was empty. Cassie approached the mailroom, humming casually, carrying her tote and a Starbucks cup. She opened her mailbox, and that's when it happened. As soon as the mailbox door swung open, her own small package tipped forward, spilling its contents into the clear, labeled bin below. A banana peel and some random junk she had dumped earlier also tumbled out. The bin made a loud clang that echoed in the lobby. Cassie froze. She stared at the bin, then at me. I was watching discreetly from my office window, then back at the bin. I could practically hear her thoughts. What? What just happened? A few neighbors returning from work witnessed the scene. Mr. Lewis chuckled quietly, pointing at the bin. Mrs. Wen whispered, finally. Even the maintenance guy smirked, pretending to be dizzy. Cassie's panic was the visual payoff. She frantically tried to pick up her spilled items, only to realize everything she had tried to steal or dump was now public property in plain view. She didn't give up. Oh no. Cassie tried the next mailbox. Another package tumbled forward. A few pieces of junk she had thrown in the slot last week slid out. She jumped back, nearly spilling her coffee. The suspense kept building. Every attempt she made failed spectacularly, and every small reveal, items falling, neighbors watching, made it funnier and more satisfying. I didn't intervene. I let her panic, flail, and stare helplessly at the bin. Her face went from confusion, anger, disbelief, to full-blown panic. Meanwhile, I let the cameras continue running. Each spill, every awkward attempt to hide her guilt, was documented in perfect detail, creating an unintentional, viral spectacle for later sharing or future evidence if needed. Her own actions became her undoing. Every package and trash item she tried to manipulate now mocked her in front of the building. By the end of the first day with the new mailboxes, Cassie had attempted every mailbox at least 3 times. Each attempt ended in chaos. She was exhausted, frazzled, and noticeably shaken. By the second day of the mailbox trap, I realized something amazing. Justice could be funny, satisfying, and completely legal. Cassie had no idea what hit her, and the building became her stage of embarrassment. Cassie arrived in the morning, determined to figure out the mail situation. She strutted into the lobby with a determined look. Clearly thinking she could outsmart the system, she opened her mailbox. Clang! A bag of candy she had tried to stash for later fell into the bin. A half-eaten sandwich she had hidden last week slid out. Her eyes went wide. She looked around. Neighbors were arriving at work, some peeking to see what was happening. I stayed hidden, watching the first sparks of her public humiliation unfold. Throughout the day, the neighbors began noticing. Mr. Lewis pointed, "Is that her candy?" Mrs. Wen laughed quietly as a crumpled flyer spilled out of another mailbox. Even a delivery driver stopped, confused, staring at the bin full of random packages and trash. Desperate, Cassie tried, opening multiple mailboxes at once, rummaging faster to catch items before they fell, stuffing trash into her bag. Each attempt failed spectacularly. Items tumbled out anyway, sometimes hitting her feet, sometimes sliding across the floor. Cassie, frustrated and desperate, decided to vent online. She posted, "This landlord is insane. Something is wrong with the building. Packages keep disappearing." Little did she know, the posts were time-stamped and public, and the neighbors could see them. Some even began jokingly tagging her in photos of the chaotic bin. By mid-afternoon, Cassie was sweating and muttering to herself. She tried hiding items in the mailbox slots, only for them to slide straight into the bin. Making loud thuds, she paced, shaking her head, muttering, "This can't be real. How is this happening?" By the end of the day, the bin was overflowing with packages, candy, flyers, and trash. Cassie looked defeated, exhausted, and completely humiliated. Neighbors were quietly celebrating the chaos, sharing small smiles and whispers. By the third day, I could see it in her eyes. Cassie had realized she wasn't in control anymore. Every attempt to manipulate the mailboxes ended in failure, and now the building itself was conspiring against her. Cassie entered the mailroom that morning like a soldier preparing for battle. But the moment she opened her first mailbox slot, a pile of junk from her previous theft attempts cascaded into the bin. A small package slipped, bouncing across the floor. She jumped back, nearly tripping over her own tote. Her face was a mixture of disbelief, anger, and humiliation. Neighbors entering the lobby caught glimpses of the chaos, whispering quietly and trying not to laugh too loudly. Cassie attempted a new tactic. She tried to open multiple mailboxes at once, thinking she could outsmart the system. 2 packages tumbled from different slots, hitting the clear bin with dramatic thuds. A random flyer she had stuffed in the mail slot last week spilled out like confetti. Her Starbucks cup teetered dangerously, and she nearly dropped it. Neighbors were now openly watching, and some couldn't contain their laughter. Cassie's frustration reached its peak, and she posted another social media rant. "I swear the landlord has rigged the building. Packages fall out. Trash magically appears in bins. I can't even." I secretly captured screenshots of the post for future documentation. It was the perfect, ironic twist. Her attempt to deflect blame publicly became proof of her own misconduct. By mid-afternoon, I decided it was time for a subtle final touch. I sent a friendly, professional notice to all tenants and copied Cassie, highlighting the importance of respecting communal property, that repeated misuse of mailboxes or common spaces could lead to fines or formal action. A humorous note about a mysterious mailbox magic, teaching lessons about honesty. This was both legal and playful, reinforcing the sense of justice while giving everyone a laugh. I am sure when Cassie read it, she must have visibly flinched, realizing her antics were fully exposed and her panic validated. Anyway, Cassie didn't cause any more trouble. She tried to argue minor points about misplaced packages, but the evidence and the visible bin left no room for denial. The neighbors had witnessed everything. The mailbox trap had captured all her previous actions. Her social media posts documented her own frustration and guilt. Cassie eventually moved out quietly. I returned her deposit, but only after confirming that all obligations, including minor damages, were fully accounted for. I often reflect on this experience. The mailbox trap wasn't just revenge. It was creative, legal, and satisfying. It taught a bold, manipulative tenant that actions have consequences. Karma can be public and humorous, and justice doesn't always require anger. Sometimes it just requires patience and creativity.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, go watch the one on the left and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more tales of triumph over injustice and a saga of ultimate revenge.